Well, as I mentioned at the top of the program, the U.S. House of Representatives, they've reached day 16 without a Speaker of the House, which means they're unable to advance legislation supporting Israel or passing budget appropriation bills. And we only have until November the 17th before the current funding mechanism runs out. Now, Republican nominee Congressman Jim Jordan failed to gain support in the second round of voting today. In fact, he lost a little ground today. Now, just before I came in the studio and talking to various ones on Capitol Hill, it sounds like we're facing round 3 tomorrow, where Congressman Jordan will press his case once again. Joining me now to discuss this is former Congressman Jody Hice from Georgia. He now serves as a senior vice president here at the Family Research Council and president of FRC Action. Jody, welcome back to Washington Watch.
Tony, always great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
And I forgot to mention, you're also the Friday host of Washington Watch.
And honored to do so.
So let's talk a little bit about I want to take on some of the questions here. I mean, you know the dynamics. I know the dynamics. There's a lot of dynamics here that people don't see outside of Washington, D.C. And we can compare notes here. But from my conversation, I was on the Hill this morning meeting with some members. And I have to say, the House Republicans are deeply divided. And it appears like the division is only growing deeper each day. That they fail to get a speaker.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think you're right. It's a crazy time. It's a sad time. Quite frankly, it's a frightening time for our country as so many issues are happening globally as well as right here in our own country. And Congress seems to be at a standstill, stuck in the mud, trying to figure out who's going to be the speaker, which has to be done before they're even capable of addressing some of these other problems. So this has become a major issue. And frankly, Tony, it seems the longer we wait, the more volatile the entire world is becoming. It is almost as though the world is hanging by a thread while we're waiting on Congress to position themselves to be able to address some of these problems. So this is a critical time. It's a time I believe Christians need to be praying like never before that the Lord would intervene and that our representatives would get unified.
And that's one thing, frankly, that's been missing. I was supposed to be on the Hill at noon today with the Republican Study Committee doing a devotional for them, but that was canceled because of the vote for Speaker. But there's not many calls collectively. Now, there's a lot of prayer groups, Bible study groups individually, but there's not been a call to prayer. And I think that unity that is missing and is elusive, in part is because some of the tactics that are being used politically. It's kind of like this is like the golden ring. We're trying to grab this ring, and it's creating a lot of division among Republicans on the Hill, and some of the tactics, outside groups putting a lot of pressure on what is an inside decision, doesn't seem to be sitting very well with some members.
You're exactly right. And what that is creating is an environment of distrust. And so I think now is the time for us, the body of Christ and organizations like FRC, to call Christians to pray. Congress is really in a bad way right now. And you're right, there are members of Congress who are praying, and that's good. But it's difficult right now for them to call on a body of believers there in Congress to because of the environment that's been created. That's just really distrustful. Hopefully they will get over that, and hopefully they will still call on one another to pray and join in that regard. But whether they do or not, this is our hour. This is the time for the church to have her finest hour, and for us to step up and to pray and to call on God's intervention in behalf of our Congress, who right now are struggling.
Let me take on a couple of things that have been brought up, I think some by the legacy media and then some by trying to create fear, is that either you get a Republican speaker or you're going to have the Democratic speaker. I mean, you're not going to get a Democratic speaker in this House. For a Republican to vote for a Democrat, I mean, would that not be the end of their political career?
Oh, there's no question it would be. I guess theoretically that could happen, but realistically, that's not going to happen. Some of the options out there, Jim Jordan, as you just mentioned, we're now going to have a third vote tomorrow. Perhaps option one, he can garnish the support and be able to pull this thing off. The more time goes by, the less likely that appears. Another option, McCarthy or Scalise come back. Again, I believe that's very unlikely. I think the most likely possibility is that a third party, a dark horse, someone who has not yet come forward, is going to come forward and will gain the support of everyone in Congress. And I anticipate that likely is going to happen if Jim Jordan loses yet again tomorrow. I believe there will be a lot of pressure for him to pull out. At that point, we'll see, I don't know, a Mike Johnson, a Kevin Hearn, someone else who can pull the party together, come forward, and probably gather a lot of support.
Well, and they're going to have to approach it with an understanding of the spiritual situation that the world is in, including right here in Washington, D.C. It's going to have to be someone who is spiritually in tune and has the eyes to see what is truly happening. Jody Hice, out of time. You know what that means. It means we've got to stop. But it's always great to talk with you, and I look forward to seeing what you got to say on Friday.
Thanks, Tony. Great to see you.